They say peace has a sound, church bells, soft laughter, coffee brewing. But peace has an expiration date. That Sunday, truth didn't whisper. It aired. The morning began like it always did, sunlight slipping through the curtains, the faint smell of cinnamon and dust, and that gentle quiet that only exists before the day begins demanding things of you. I used to think those mornings were sacred. They felt like protection, like maybe the universe was giving me one more chance to breathe before the next storm. Matthew called from downstairs. "You coming? We're gonna be late for church." His voice steady, familiar, unbothered. I remember pausing on the stairs, one hand on the banister, staring at him as he adjusted his tie in the mirror. His reflection smiled, but his eyes, they looked elsewhere. Inside the church, the air smelled of wax and forgiveness. Father Bennett spoke about honesty. "The truth will set you free." I remember thinking, free from what? Soft inhale, the organ hummed. The congregation sang. And yet, somewhere inside me, something had started to hum too, not faith, but suspicion. Maybe it was the way Matthew checked his watch every few minutes. Maybe it was how he didn't look at me when I tried to catch his eye. Or maybe it was that quiet instinct all women have, that invisible alarm that starts to ring before the evidence arrives. After service, we stood on the steps, talking to neighbors. The local news team was outside, filming something for Channel 4's Weekend City Report. A boy with a camera darted through the crowd. He almost tripped over Matthew's shoes, and we both laughed. "Maybe we'll see ourselves on TV tonight," I said, half joking. He smirked. "You and your curiosity." The way he said it made something small and warm inside me wilt. That afternoon, I made lunch: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, vegetables. The kind of meal that looks like effort but tastes like denial. He hummed while trimming the hedge outside. I stood at the sink, washing dishes, my mind half present. The house felt normal. Too normal. I turned the TV on for background noise, just voices to fill the quiet. But that Sunday, the truth didn't knock, it broadcast itself. It started as nothing, a reporter's cheerful voice describing the charm of downtown on a sunny weekend. I dried my hands on a towel and looked up just as the camera panned to a crowd crossing the street. And there he was. Matthew. Walking hand in hand with another woman. Her fingers tracing his sleeve. Her smile bright enough to burn. My knees went weak. The fork hit the plate, a single, loud sound. I blinked, thinking maybe I was seeing wrong. Maybe it was someone who just looked like him. But then he turned, laughing, that same crooked smile I'd kissed 1,000 times. He wasn't at a business meeting. He was on live television, holding someone else like she was home. The world saw it before I could even blink. My breath caught somewhere between shock and nausea. The reporter kept talking about romance in the city, completely unaware that she was narrating the collapse of my marriage. The room spun. The clock ticked louder. Even the air conditioner seemed to roar. Soft inhale, and yet, I didn't cry. I just stood there, frozen, watching the man I thought I knew become someone else entirely. He wasn't sorry for what he'd done. He was sorry he'd been seen. Cold whisper, the segment ended. The next story played, a cooking show, of all things. But I couldn't hear it. All I could hear was the silence of betrayal. For a long time, I just cleaned. The counter. The table. My hands. You can't scrub pain away, but you try anyway. When he came home that evening, the sound of his car in the driveway made my stomach twist. I looked at the TV screen, black now, but his reflection still burned behind my eyes. That was the thing about being betrayed in public, the world already knew before I did. And when he smiled at me at the door, pretending everything was fine, I realized something important. This wasn't heartbreak. It was humiliation. And humiliation doesn't beg, it plots. He walked in, whistling, smelling of aftershave and deceit. "Dinner smells amazing," he said, loosening his tie. I kept my voice steady. "Did your meeting go well?" He froze for a second, then smiled. "Yeah, long day. Glad it's over. I tilted my head. Funny, I didn't know meetings involved hand-holding on Main Street. Silence. His glass clinked against the counter. His jaw tensed. What are you talking about? Channel 4, I said softly. Weekend feature. The color drained from his face. You're overreacting. Beat, overreacting. The word echoed in my head like a dare. I turned on the TV, switched to the local news recording I'd saved. And there he was again. Her hand on his chest. His smile, that intimate, unguarded smile that used to belong to me. He stood there watching himself, trapped on the screen, his lie immortalized. The entire town saw you, I whispered. You made the scene yourself. He stammered excuses about old friends, about work, about misunderstandings. But his voice cracked under the weight of the truth. I didn't mean, no, I interrupted. You just didn't mean to get caught. He slammed his fist on the counter. You'll regret embarrassing me. I smiled faintly. Oh, darling. You have no idea what embarrassment looks like yet. He left the room. I stayed behind, the faint glow of the TV washing over me. I didn't cry. I just took a deep breath and thought revenge isn't loud. It's precise. Soft inhale. That night, I lay awake listening to the rhythm of his breathing. The man beside me felt like a stranger. And in that darkness, I made my decision. If he wanted attention, I would make sure he had all of it. Morning light crept in, indifferent and cold. He kissed my forehead before leaving for work, a mechanical gesture. As soon as his car disappeared down the street, I started moving. I drove to the Channel 4 studio with a box of pastries and a practiced smile. The receptionist beamed. Mrs. Walker, your husband was in that segment yesterday, so cute. Yes, I said. Adorable. She laughed, handed me a copy of the footage, and wished me a blessed day. When I got home, I made tea and watched the clip again. Once. Twice. Until the sadness bled out and left something sharper behind. He wanted an audience. I'd give him one. I trimmed the footage, added simple text overlays, while his wife thought he was working. Then I cut to his text messages, running late. Big meeting. Don't wait up. The contrast was deliciously cruel. I uploaded it anonymously to our town's Facebook group, the same one where people posted bake sales and birthday wishes. Within 10 minutes, the first comment appeared, wait, isn't that Matthew Walker? Then another, oh my God. Someone tell Caroline. And another, she deserves better. By sunset, everyone knew. The video spread beyond town lines. It jumped platforms. Twitter, TikTok, Reddit. He wanted to be seen, and now he was. When he came home that night, his phone was buzzing non-stop. He looked like a ghost. Caroline, what did you do? He snapped. I stirred sugar into my coffee. Did you go viral? He slammed the table. You humiliated me. I met his eyes. No. You humiliated yourself. I just hit upload. The silence that followed was beautiful. He stormed out. The door slammed. And just like that, I was free. Weeks turned into months. The gossip burned through town and turned to ash. Matthew lost his job. His mistress blocked him. He moved out quietly, avoiding eye contact even in public. I started painting again, something I hadn't done in years. Red for closure. Blue for peace. Yellow for the parts of me that refused to die. My studio filled with light and silence, not the heavy kind anymore, but the gentle kind that follows healing. One morning, Channel 4 called again. They wanted to feature my art exhibit, A Story of Renewal. I stood in the same church where the story had started, hanging my work on its old stone walls. The reporter asked, how did this journey begin? I smiled. With a broadcast. That night, as the segment aired, I watched the screen. The same network that once exposed my heartbreak was now celebrating my rebirth. Soft inhale, my phone buzzed. A message from him, I'm sorry. Please, can we talk? I typed, the world already heard you talk. I'm done listening. I pressed send. And for the first time, the silence felt holy again. They said revenge burns. They were wrong, it freezes the lie in place, for everyone to see. Outside, church bells rang, the same sound from that Sunday morning. Only now, it didn't sting. It sounded like freedom.